Good to see you all today. Hope you had a good week. It's been a long week so far, and I feel a little bit tired, to be fair. But we're talking about desires and goal setting. So, my first question would be, or what is the meaning of desire? So, I did the due diligence to check it, to look it up, and it says the meaning of desire: a strong feeling or wanting to have something or wishing for something to happen. So, my question to everyone is, what desire do you have, first of all, before we go into goal setting? What desire have you had this year that you can share with us? And we can kind of have a conversation generally about our own desires for this year. So just a brief discussion. So I'm going to ask Anthony, do you have any desires for this year, 2025, that you want to attain to, or you want to achieve, or bring into fruition?
My desire, which I started, and my colleague Nick kicked my butt about it the other day. I need to get back onto it. Is my own? It's a channel that I'm talking about, which is dealing with people sort of above the age of 40, and getting them in tune to what's going on with technology today, AI, because everybody's so frightened about what the implications of it, what it's going to do. But we always talk about, the young people's future. But what about people that are sort of 40 up, and who've just lost their job? I was just seeing something today. One of the banks are getting rid of, was it 2,100 people or something? Something or another. And this is happening on a big scale. So what I'm finding is people of a certain age feeling like, well, if I lose a job, I'm stuffed, because if the younger people are losing a job, at least they're younger, people will take them on. But I'm at an age now, I'm established, what do I do now? So one of my things was I wanted to do something to help people of a certain age now to be leveling up so that they have opportunities. And that's something that I started, and that's my desire to do that and to help people to basically get a bit more knowledge and make them not feel so frightened about the future and technology.
Superb. Thanks, Anthony, for sharing. Mike, what desire do you have for 2020?
My one was a little bit more about me, really, to be honest, around about personal sort of.
Just going to close the window. Sorry.
That's all right. I'll wait for him to come back, because I feel safer when he's around. But my desire.
Don't ask me why.
Before I go, can anybody see my victory through harmony statement there?
It's got nothing to do with the question.
Okay, fine. We'll come on to that later.
Can we come back to that later? Yes, thank you.
That's good. Right, so my desire is to improve me, really, and particularly around my physical kind of well-being, really. It's something that I've flirted with over the years, but never quite managed to kind of nail it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm on this kind of journey of kind of, from a physical perspective, trying to be a better version of myself. Do you know what I mean? So at the moment, I'm kind of doing some intermittent fasting, because I always find when I'm sharper and more kind of, fit and active within myself, good things happen. So I'm trying to work on that in a moment and trying to get that over the line, because I've flirted with it historically. It's never, I have this, anyway, I can put weight on and I can take it off, but I've never had that kind of equilibrium. So I'm just trying to find that balance now. So that's what I'm trying to work with at the moment.
Brilliant. Excellent. Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah. That's good stuff. Good stuff. Nick, anything you want to share?
Contentment. That's my desire. My desire is to kind of feel somewhat content, to feel at ease, to feel at peace. Yeah. And I know that for myself, a lot of that is through just a self-awareness journey. Trying to get rid of as many blind spots as I can. And within that, and it's quite big for me at the moment because of things that are going on in my world right now, which is to drop a lot of the defenses within myself. So that's a desire for me. Can I just say, first of all, with us four on here, hearing the word desire, I had a bit of a panic on who was going to say what, but we'll leave that. The two gentlemen that just went first, I thought, oh, geez, where this going?
That's why I started with Anthony, because I knew that there would be some equilibrium.
Absolutely.
to talk about.
There were, yes.
Because if I started with this guy,
It's a mess.
Okay,
Arsenal winning the
no, well, I'm not going to talk about
Champions League.
No, I'm not talking about it.
All
No
right.
point.
Okay.
But yeah, so mine is contentment, self-awareness and self-understanding. That's a desire that I have to kind of not get on a defensive all the time when somebody's kind of challenging me for something. It's just that, really. That's one of my desires. Yeah. And yeah, Alicia Keys is there somewhere, but
Stop it. Get some help.
that one is the main one.
It is.
Now that's a good desire.
Thank you very much, Anthony.
No chance, by the way.
Moving swiftly on.
Listen,
No, go on.
I've got as much chance, Mike, as you have at the Champions League. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Definitely ain't gonna win that, is he?
Absolutely.
Definitely. Well, my desire is very similar to Michael's, and we've kind of had a little bit of chat recently about kind of doing something. So my thing is kind of like getting a little bit more healthy and eating a bit more sensibly, and maybe losing a couple of pounds, a few pounds. 13 stone now, could be 12 and a half would be great. Mm-hmm. So I set myself a goal, which I'll move on to in a moment. But the desire is to be more healthy. And to be more educated about the food and the substances that I put into this body of mine, just to be a bit mindful of my own personal well-being, especially after what's happened recently. It would be wise to kind of figure out a plan of action to ensure that that doesn't happen again, or at least minimize any risk. So that's my desire. So. Goal setting is a lot different, though, isn't it? I mean, we have desires, but in order to reach that desire, there is a goal that needs to be achieved. So, that being said, Anthony, how do you go about turning that desire, which is a thought about something, thought to do something? How do you turn that into a goal? What's the process for you of setting goals? So, for example, in terms of goals, you need to have a plan of action, for instance. So, what would be your plan of action, Anthony, to get to that goal that you've spoken about, or how is it going?
I'm a little bit. I suppose I've kind of got something in common with that bloke Michael a bit. I do have done project managing before. Yeah, project managing before. And my project managing head comes in. I'm a bit of a planner. I set myself a schedule. So, for instance, if I want to do something like become, well, I do a lot of sports anyway. But if I'm trying to do something within when I'm doing a martial arts, I have a set a goal. I'll put it in. If I'm trying to learn a new program, which is I'm constantly doing, and a lot of stuff I'm doing is constantly learning, I've got it in my phone, so I'll put it in my diary, like every week, do something that I know I can achieve. And this is the problem when goals become a bit disappointing, when you set standards which you really are not achievable. So I'll say I need to study this program for 2 hours on a Tuesday and on a Thursday. And that's it, done. Not 3 hours, not 4 hours, not 1 hour, but 2 hours, and stick to it. And very, very, just very rigid. And then if I have anything else, and in my room, I've got an A board. So I've got my schedule like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I'll have, right, do this, do that, do this. And I tick them off. And then I realize that, like with any project managing, sometimes you have to move things around. They don't necessarily happen.
Yeah.
So what I'll do, maybe on the Wednesday, what I'm trying to do, I'll say, okay, I can think I can do it on a Monday. So I'll shift it around. You've got to be, you've got to have a sliding
Flexible.
scale. You've got to be flexible. And that's how I do it. I've always done it like that. I really set goals, but achievable goals,
Yeah.
so I don't get disappointed. And then I also sometimes make somebody aware of what I'm doing. So I do get that. How's it going? Because sometimes you do need that. You need that, a reality check when you realise, oh, I'm or whatever. Oh, yeah, you're right. I need to get back onto that because I've actually said I'm going to do something with somebody or told them. So I want to make sure that in 6 months' time, I've been able to say, well, I've done this. I've tried. I'm actually working towards it, rather than saying nothing. And then if it doesn't work out, then you've got no one to sort of like say it to, or nobody come back to you and say, how's it going on? So I do that slightly, but that's how I do it. I just set achievable goals.
Excellent. Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, so similar to Anthony, I mean, I set achievable, realistic targets, which I like to keep at the forefront of my mind, to be honest. So, you know, again, that Alicia Keys things, yeah, we all want Alicia Keys, but I like it to be something a bit more realistic for me personally. I mean, I'll let you deal with that one. But no, so set my goals, be realistic, because without having an objective or a plan, I struggle with that personally, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? I like to do that initial planning and setting some targets and setting some goals and kind of seeing how that kind of the evolution of that, the trajectory and how that kind of moves along. If I don't do that, for me personally, I'm very scattergun. I'll be here, there, and everywhere, and that really does me in mentally. Do you mean? So I have to have a bit of a plan, and I have to have a bit of a target. And even if it doesn't work out, at least I've done my very best. Do you mean? Because that what ifs kill me as well. If I'd have done that, and it doesn't work, I'm happy with that. But if I haven't done all that stuff in between and I don't get my result, that really frustrates me because I think to myself, well, if I'd have gone back and I'd have planned that properly and I'd have done that in a timely way, then I might have got a different outcome. You know, all of that doesn't guarantee success. But at least you know that you've kind of organised it in an orderly fashion to get some sort of desired result. So, but going back to what you said, I'm very realistic in that, in terms of what I can do and when that can happen and what that outcome's likely to be. So that's how I kind of work with my stuff, really, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? And I know sometimes it can be a little bit annoying because I like to talk about things as well, just like you.
Yeah.
And Nick, I know that might frustrate you, but that works for me because I might have the same conversation over. But that's more for me, really, because if I'm not talking about it, then that means I'm not thinking about it, and I'm not passionate about it, and it's likely that's gonna be going to that procrastination phase, like I always do, and then nothing ain't gonna happen. Yeah. So that's kind of how I kind of deal with things in my own inevitable way. Yeah.
No, super. Nick, do you identify with that? Anything different?
Yeah, a lot different, because when I hear what these two gents have just said, I'm going to be honest. I know you and I have spoken about this one before, but listen to what these two guys have just said. I'm kind of in awe, and I mean that sincerely. And the reason being is, I don't find that all this planning and doing this and doing that and kind of getting these steps in play, admirable, love it. But I think I mentioned it on last week that I can read all of these books. I can hear these gems from you guys. How to apply that, however, is where I feel I get stuck. Having said that, I am aware that I've achieved certain things because there's been a desire of mine to do something.
Yeah.
And the only way that I can say that it's really worked for me is if I actually take a step and do something. Let's say, for example, and I have no desire to do this. No, but so I'm just talking randomly. Let's say, for example, I wanted to open a gym. Just a spit and sawdust gym. Just weights for people to come in and train, etc., etc. The first thing I would need to do is source the equipment. Where am I going to get the equipment from? Now, what I've found with anything I've done is the moment I'm embroiled, if you like, the moment I'm involved in doing that, in searching that stuff out, in doing that research, before I know it, almost unconsciously, that leads me on to, oh, okay, I've now found the premises. Oh, okay, I've now done this. And things seem to fall in place. Anything that I've ever achieved, so without sounding, no, I don't care if it sounds corny. You guys know that my desire and my goal was to start a podcast.
Yeah.
And here we are. I had to do a lot of kind of nagging and trying and getting things in place. And Winston almost immediately went, let's jump on. Mike immediately, and now Anthony as well. So this has grown into something
Beautiful.
now. Did I have a plan of action of saying this is how I'm going to do it? Da 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 da. One of my desires now is to learn the editing process. So Anthony knows about this stuff. So I'm doing it week in, week out. But I've had a lot of guidance and a lot of tips from Anthony. I'm now on doing the research, but there isn't. Hearing you two guys, genuinely, I'm kind of like, wow. I've got a plan of action. It's got to be in the forefront of my mind. I've got to do this. I don't recognize it like that. Mine is just, I'm just trying to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's it.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But
I really wish, Nick, I could be more like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes.
well,
I
the thing
think
is,
we're more in awe of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would add to that you are both being, or we are all being like one another. But what Nick is doing, he's not breaking it down to what's actually happening. Where you guys are probably have done, and you're not probably thinking, okay, I'm just going to jump into this. You're thinking about it a lot, and Nick's not necessarily thinking about it, but it's action in it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's happening, yeah.
They both have the
Yeah.
same result. If you get what I mean.
100%.
Because they both
Yeah.
work with one another. Both mentalities work with one another because you've got to do something to make something happen. So whether it just be a thought, that's the start. That's the ignition of the goal.
Yeah.
Where what Michael and Anthony have just said is that they've broken it down to what the goal looks like. And I know why that is, and I'm going to question them on that in a moment to make
Please.
sure that they know that because they're working for companies, so I know their mentality. Don't worry, I've got them. 1 second. I'll come back to that in a moment.
Yeah, please.
I said my bit. Now, for me, very similar to everybody else. But what I found is that I can have faith in something. That's the assured expectation that something not yet be helped, that something's going to happen. I can be assured of that. It's going to happen. But what I found is when you add clarity to your goal, as much information as possible to the end product. So you start at A, and if you can fill in the B, C, D, E, F, all the way to Z before you the more information you had at the beginning, the easier and the quicker you get to Z. That's what I found. For example, I remember when I was at my old workplace, and I was getting a little bit fed up with the job, and I thought to myself, you know what? I want to be working in somewhere like a council. I mean, this is many, many years ago. I want to work for a place like a council, and I want to be earning a specific amount of money. So 2 years, that was 2 years prior to I got this job. How I got the job that I was in at that particular point in time. So what happened was I got made redundant from that job that I was not happy with. And within a month, I got the job that I was thinking about then, 2 years before. So it was a job working for a company that was like a council, earning a specific amount of money. Now, I walked into a job exactly like that, but I didn't define what the job role was and exactly how much the money was. But I got close to what I was thinking, which is quite amazing. So I ended up working for a company that resembled a council and the amount of money that I wanted. So you can see when you've got clear thoughts, things happen. Now, I wish I had said that I wanted it to be a specific role and a certain amount of money. It's just like when you say to some young people, like, how much money, so what do you want to do with your life? What goal do you want to achieve? I want to be rich. Well, how much money do you want to earn? I don't know. I want to be rich. I want to drive a BMW, a Mercedes, I want a house. But they're not defining exactly how much they want and what that house looks like and what the car they want, what color it is, etc., etc. There's something that happens in the mind when you set a goal and you add the information to it. It's like the universe just attracts it to you. I don't know if you've experienced that yourself, but I found that happens as well.
Absolutely.
So that being said, how do you find that? How do you need to be focused? Do you need to have discipline? Do you need to be persistent? Do you need to have faith to get to your goals? What would you say is like the strongest common denominator to get to your goal? If you were speaking to your younger self, what word would you use to get to your goal? Michael.
Consistency and being resilient as well. Because when you're working towards something, we all know things don't go in a straight line. There's going to be there's going to be ups and downs, and it's very, very. It happens, but it's very rarely that you get a smooth kind of sail into the harbour. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to be very, very resilient. Do you know what I mean? And you've got to stay the course. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes under immense amount of pressure as well. So resiliency and being consistent. That's why I was saying. That's why I use those techniques about sort of keep constantly talking about something. My little reminders here and there. My little affirmations. Doing stuff like what you do, Anthony, talking about people, sharing the concept with people. So if you do have a bad day, I can ring up you or Nick and say, like, I'm trying to get this, but this has happened. And then I might get that kind of reassurance or that second opinion. Do you know what I mean? All of these things matter, well, to me, at least anyway, matter to me and help me to stay the course, do you know what I mean, and stay invested in what I'm trying to achieve. So, yeah. So resilience and consistency for me.
Okay, Anthony, what advice would you give your younger self in terms of goal setting? What comes to mind?
Belief.
Yes.
I've always had this thing when I was younger that I've always been put in situations where maybe it's not the norm or whatever. I mean, I'll give an typical example very, very quickly. When I was very, very young, I went to school and we had a swimming pool, right? And I was very, very young. So it's very, very rare to have a school that has a swimming pool, right?
Yeah, unheard of.
Okay. So my attitude was, oh, there's a swimming pool. Now, I didn't understand anything about swimming or whatever. So I thought, why not? So everybody else was swimming, why didn't it? And then I started to learn to swim. And I had lessons, and then before I knew it, I was literally getting better and better and better. And then I ended up having sort of like what do you call them? Years races.
Yeah.
And then I ended up winning the breaststroke, front crawl, and whatever. And then I ended up doing more swimming. I ended up swimming almost semi-professionally, and I was at this event, and I couldn't understand what everybody's looking around at me. I couldn't get it. And it's not until somebody else says to me, you don't see black people swimming. You don't see it.
Not really, no.
I just didn't understand what it was the big fuss about, right? But that is because I didn't have that mindset of I can't do it. I just believed I could do it. Do you get what I mean? So I've had that mindset with everything I do. It doesn't matter if I don't let race, age, sexuality, anything stop me. If I can do it, or if you can do it, why can't I do it? And I'll be honest, I really am not an envious person. I really do not get envious. I'm one of those people where I'm happy for you, but I can do that. If you're doing it, why can't I do it?
Yeah.
The only thing I'm envious about was Ryan Reynolds when he was starring with Sandra Bullock in the movie.
Yeah.
That was it.
And the reason is?
Sorry, you got your Alicia Keys, I got my Sandra Bullock. But what I'm trying to say is, right, I don't believe the fact that you should allow barriers to stop you. Because if you look throughout history, great people have actually had barriers and overcome them, right? So I think there's a belief system. If you can set your mind to you can do something, you will do it. Like what you just said, Winnie, right? If you believe it, it will happen. But you've got to have that belief in order for it to happen.
Absolutely.
Do you believe Tottenham will win the league title next season?
So let's move on to Nick, please.
Oh, okay, fine.
No,
I just wanted to ask that. Sorry.
Thank you, Anthony, for your wise advice to
very much.
your youngest self. So it's belief. Belief, I got that. Nick, would you like to add what you would advise your younger self with regards to goal setting? what would you say to him?
Focus.
Charger.
Focus.
Oh,
Oh,
please.
bloody hell.
Mine
Well,
would
he's
be
not focusing,
focus,
is he?
Will.
Focus.
100% about focus. Just keep focused on what it is. And when Anthony said belief, yes, the focus I think can help keep you consistent. But the belief also, because I mentioned it in a previous pod, which is I'm too quick to listen to people that haven't done things tell me I can't do it.
Yeah.
I've been too quick over the years. You're never going to achieve this. You can't do this. You can't do that. Well, of course, they can only speak from their perspective. But the moment that they've said it, so when Anthony says about belief, it is that, because I look at you three now and know that there was three ballers. You three could play ball. Now my bit is, you put the work in. All three of you was focused on football. At one point, you was focused on football, and there it is. I'm not sure if I'm honest. So yeah, number one would be focus, and the other thing is, as much as possible, try to ignore the naysayers, and certainly don't become one of those yourself. So the belief, because the focus will keep you consistent. So for me, focus is a big one. Yeah, because I'm too. The reason why the procrastination comes in for me is because I'll get focused on this, and then a shiny car will drive past, and I'm like a magpie. Ooh, that's nice, and then I'm gone.
Yeah.
And I'm gone on all these
Absolutely.
different things. So focus would be the one for me.
Yeah. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that. That's one of mine as well. Focus. Along with that is clarity, which I mentioned before. But the most important one for me is discipline. Staying with what I'm doing. Keep on it. I listen to Jim Rohn. He's a motivational speaker and a mentor. It's probably one of my favorites. I'll leave a link later on to some of his talks at the moment. And he said exactly what everybody just said just now. He said the key points to being progressive with your goals is having clarity, having a plan, being focused, being disciplined, being persistent, having faith and belief. That's what he said.
Wow.
So we are in line.
We weren't far off that, were we?
No, I mean, what
No.
we're talking about is exactly that. So the thing is when you're younger, is navigating through those six instruments to getting from A to Z in terms of inserting your goal and then achieving it, because ultimately that's what we want to do. We want to achieve it. And I was listening to a talk from by Jim Rohn. He said that a lot of famous people, or a lot of people in general, didn't get to their goal, and their goal was literally around the corner because of persistence. And they weren't persistent with what they were doing. They didn't keep it going long enough to really kind of like really make or get to that goal or get that gold star, so to speak. So that being said, I wanted to kind of test Anthony and Michael and Nick as well, because
Hello.
you're not getting away from this as it
No,
is for as well, 'cause you work for companies as well. Okay, now we're talking about objective setting, and I want to know what is smart objectives, and I want to know what the S in the smart objectives. Now, Michael, I know you know what smart objectives are, and Anthony, you definitely know what smart objectives are. Nick, do you know what smart objectives are? Just say yes or
It's
no.
not something that I work with, but yes, I'm aware of it. I'm aware of it. Yes.
Okay. Does anyone know what the S stands for in smart objective?
I
In
love that
smart
you're doing this.
Specific.
Well done, Michael. Well done.
Yeah.
Does anyone know what? You better know all of them as well. Furthermore.
Yeah.
Does anyone know what the M stands for?
Measured.
Well done. Measurable. Yes, exactly. A.
Achievable.
Achievable.
Mike.
Yeah.
R.
Realistic.
Yep.
Reliable.
Relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reliable. Yep. And the T.
Time.
Target.
Ooh.
Target or time
it-
bound.
Yeah.
Well
Yeah.
done,
Time.
Michael.
To do with time, innit?
Yeah, time bound. He must know
Yeah.
that because he should know that. He should.
Why should I know that?
Because you're a
You
manager.
should.
Not really. I'm not a good one.
No, you clearly are. You clearly are. So specifically, Goals should be clearly defined and not vague. That's my thing about clarity, being really clear about that. Achievable. Goals should be realistic and within reach, considering available resources and time constraints. Relevance. Goals should be aligned with overall objectives and values, providing motion and direction. Time bound. Goals should have a specific time frame, because we spoke about planning and Anthony, you said that sometimes you need someone to like make sure that you keep on time of your project or project management. So the goal should be specific within a time frame for completion, creating urgency and a sense of accountability. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what smart objectives are. So anyone out there that's looking to set goals, you might want to look that up, because it does help with planning your goal. And Nick, you were saying earlier on about kind of understanding the process of goal setting, and maybe you might not understand the process, but you do what is necessary to get to that to the ending goal. So again, time is catching up with us, and we don't have lots of that. Just one quick question: who's recording this? Okay, great stuff. Any last comments on goals and setting goals? Anthony,
Setting goals.
why is it important to you?
It's really important. I set goals. I mean, I'm a trainer, right? And I tell my students they have to set goals, and I say practice at home, and I give them something to do, and I say do that maybe 50 times on one leg, or do that 50 times with that move on one arm or the other. So when they come back to the class, I'll test them on it, and I'll see if it's working. And the more and more they do it, they become more proficient. And all of a sudden, it becomes easier. And that's with anything. The more and more you do it, the more it becomes easier. And I think, to me, setting goals, if you stay consistent, like you said, keep to your goals by keeping that vision, being focused, and believe, the more and more you do it, the easier it becomes.
100%.
Absolutely, thank you, Mike.
No, you just following from what you said earlier about the planning phase in terms of that information gathering, early doors, if you like. That's really, really important, because I read something earlier, but vague targets equal vague outcomes. So I like to kind of do that planning phase and that research phase, early doors, set my kind of milestones along the way to hopefully get that positive outcome. And I do that for myself, really, because I know that I'm, by nature, if I'm being quite honest, quite disorganized. I'm quite a disorganized person. So that's why I rely quite heavily on planning to kind of mitigate against my blind spots, if you like, or some of the things that I need to improve upon. And it is about, and I've always been quite, I'm quite forgetful. I lose things and stuff like that. So I need that framework to kind of work with.
Yeah, no, it's wise. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Nick, anything to add?
Yeah, so for when it comes to me, my bit is, and it does remind me of that talk, which is, if somebody says I want more money, it's not specific enough. Because the minute you say, well, want more money, that's fine. But then if somebody gives you an extra 20 quid, well, you haven't reached your goal, because you still want more money. So it's drawing a line to say, that's my target.
Yeah.
So hearing that SMART thing, it genuinely is really good for. I've heard of it. I've been around it, but it's not something I've ever kind of needed to work with in my profession. So I find that that's of interest to me. Genuinely, it's something I'll have a look at. But like I said at the very beginning, hearing you guys that kind of write it down, I find that fascinating, because as Winston said, I try when I don't procrastinate. Okay, what do I need to do? And let me do something here.
Absolutely.
But the belief part, Anthony, is the bit that jumps out to me, bro, because for me, I'm not talking about belief in the goal. I'm talking belief in the self to achieve said goal.
Sure.
Sure. But yeah, I'll stop there.
No, excellent. Thank you for sharing, gents. For me, it's everything that you guys have said, and the fact that you have belief and have faith in what you're doing. For me, is the difficulty is getting that planning right, especially now, because I find that now I want to get to these goals a lot quicker. So the planning phase is a lot more. There's a lot more clarity in what I'm trying to do and how I'm doing it. So yeah, for me, that's where it kind of worked well for me is having that clarity. It's kind of like, back in the day, when we used to use an A to Z to get from one place to other before StatNav. Now you get your A to Z out and you go from like London to Birmingham. You know the route, but you don't necessarily know exactly what where you're going to do your stops and etc. etc. You just do it on the way. But that A to Z gave you direction. So that's the planning for me. I'm looking at things like that. I'm planning the routes, the potential shortcuts, etc., etc., and I put a plan to action everything. So for me, is having that clear guidance of what I want to achieve and want to attain to. So, gents, thank you for your time on goal setting. I think that was a good and we'll look forward to our next session.
Can I just say something before we go though? Because
hold on. Okay, let me add. Oh yeah, forgot. Mike, do you wanna?
We know where this is going. Can I just say, my desire and goal is to get off of it.
No. Because as you can see,
how do we do that? By pressing stop.
Yeah.
No. Victory through harmony, and I know it was quite profound to a number of people.
Profound.
But what that is, that's how I got that off the Arsenal
Sorry, I'm
website.
just taking a phone call.
I just got that off the Arsenal website today. It's actually our motto, and I thought to myself, because that result the other night, honestly, I had a tear in my eye at one point. Could you believe the levels that those guys, attained? You had two European juggernauts, two European heavyweights going head to head, prompting, probing, each trying to find out where the weakness was.
Okay.
And then you get 3 moments of brilliance. Listen, I don't care what anybody says, and whether you're an Arsenal supporter or not, that was an outstanding European performance, top draw. And that's
So are you got? One second.
Do you know what? The price of bread in Sainsbury's has gone up because I was just went shopping today. It's more expensive now.
You know what? Just adding to that. Does that Mike? Does that mean that you're going through to the semi-finals then?
Well, listen. I mean, Real Madrid are a top European club, but
this guy won't answer a straight question. He's
I'm going to answer. I'm going to get there, but it's going to be.
You're not, are you?
Are you?
not.
Yeah. Are you or aren't you going to get through to the
if I'm allowed to answer the question, maybe we might find out.
Can I take him out of the? Can I take him out of the studio? Just remove him for a minute.
No, Nick.
Please do.
I'm saying, Nick. I'm saying we're in a very advantageous position right now. Okay, so the odds are in our favour. So, in answer to your question, yes, I believe that we've got every chance of going through to the.
So was that game at Highbury? Was that the best European
game?
Highbury's
been knocked down now. Emirates.
Well, we'd probably better off being there. I'll say that. They won more medals. They won more medals there.
Right.
Okay, at the Emirates.
Was that the best performance? No, actually, I don't think it was. I think when we beat Barcelona back in the day.
Was that the Emirates or was that?
The Emirates. Oh, actually, that was Highbury. You're right. Actually, so best performance at Emirates. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So at least I've got that out. So just in case anybody wanted to know where that victory through harmony went.
Just let you know that Liverpool did beat Barcelona with a 3-0 head start. When they came back to Anfield, we beat them 4-3. So be aware. That's Real Madrid that you're talking about.
Well, exactly,
anything could happen.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Well, yeah. Anyway.
Who do you play next?
It could be PSG. Could be Aston Villa. Who knows?
PSG, mate.
Yeah.
Good luck.
We know about them.
Yeah.
Just to finish off though, Mike, no one was wondering what victory through harmony meant.
Absolutely nobody cares.
Just after all of that rhetoric.
Like the Mick McManus thing, I kind of could deal with that because I knew, that was a joke, but I don't really get
it. Well, no, this isn't a joke, it's serious. This is actually on the Arsenal website.
Victory through harmony. Okay.
Yes.
Harmony.
Yes.
What harmony?
Why are you looking it up?
What's harmony? What's harmony about it?
Victory through harmony.
What was harmonious about the victory?
Oh right, okay. Well, you after 60,000?
I don't know.
you after 60,000 supporters that were there the other night. They're-
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
what do you reckon they'll say?
What do I reckon they say? Okay, all
Was
right.
Was
yeah.
it Declan Rice's 2 goals? That was what harmonious about it, was it?
Declan Rice
Or was
and
it
Pease.
the actual performance?
Yeah.
No, look, I'll give you credit. I'm a Spurs. You know, we don't
Sure,
get on, right?
yeah.
That was a very, very good performance, right?
Yeah.
Exceptionally good performance. Two free kicks, which basically even he admitted he was surprised that they went in. He did. Just watch it. Watch what he said.
That
He
was
said,
world class.
like, yeah.
Anthony, that was world class.
They were.
You
They
are-
were world class.
No, did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said? I
Yeah.
said those two free kicks that Declan Rice scored. Even he was like saying,
Winston,
you know,
how are you,
brilliant.
bro?
Right?
No, I'm well. You know what?
But-
Funny enough, I heard that Courtois he was suffering with epilepsy that day. I understood.
All right. Okay.
That was some of the problems with his goalkeeping
The
ability.
thing is,
on
the
the
thing is,
day.
mate,
So,
we've
yeah.
all beaten the big teams. Even us have beaten a big team in the
Not Real
Champions
Madrid,
League,
you have.
right? Haven't we?
Yeah, they have. They have. Inter Milan, they beat them as well.
What was that? Is that season 61, 62?
You're having a laugh. It's not
No.
that long ago.
No, mate.
That's within
No.
10 years.
How do you think we? First of all, how do you think we got through when we had Bale and so forth? We've had Inter Milan. We've beaten teams. We have actually beaten. Don't do the
Real
face
Madrid.
turn. Don't do the face turn, right?
Not Real Madrid.
The whole point.
Not Real Madrid. You ever beat Real Madrid?
Have a Google then.
All right. Okay.
No, we've had this conversation already.
We've had this conversation, mate.
Yeah, we
What
did.
I'm saying is, it's getting to the final and winning it is the most important thing. But what you do
Absolutely.
now, all
Absolutely.
these games, we did it. We
Absolutely.
beat Ajax, that famous game. I've seen Man United, blow teams away and then didn't get through.
In the
Then when-
final.
But then when they got over the line
And won it.
and won it, when Liverpool got over the line and
Talk
won
about
it,
quarterfinals.
that's the difference.
No, I get you. But
You know,
let's not
that,
play
that,
history.
that match
Let's not play
against,
history. Let's
Man
not play
United
history.
against Bayern Munich in the
Let's
final.
stay in the
Remember that
present.
one?
Nick, from a psychological, should we stay in the present or should we revisit?
Well, so what you done in the present?
I don't know. It's
Well,
you
you
that
got
keeps going
to a
back to the
quarterfinal.
30s. You've done that. You've done that since 1981.
I want to stay in the present.
Of course you do now. But just out of interest, how many times, genuine question, because I don't know the answer to this, how many times have Arsenal been in the Champions League final? Was it once?
Before I answer, what's the relevance of the question?
Well, because I'm just wondering whether you've been to the
Is it a
final.
loaded question? Is that a-
Well,
is that
if
a
you
loaded
allow me
question?
to answer, you can
Yeah,
decipher
really,
this for
like you
yourself.
said. Yeah.
Right, go on.
Okay, so have you been in the final more times than Manchester United have won it? I'm wondering.
No.
Oh,
Oh.
so you haven't been to the final as many times as Man United have actually lifted the cup with the big ears?
I don't even think they've been to the semi-finals as much time as Man United has lifted up the cup.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just trying to work out where this is going because.
Well, no,
right
it's,
now-
it's got to its destination. It's not going anywhere else.
We're setting clear goals.
No, I don't know where this is going because right now you're in 16th place.
We're absolute dog poo. Oh yeah, we beat you as well, didn't we? With 10 men.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we are dog poo. But you're gonna win the Champions League, are you?
And
Yeah.
Man United have won more silverware in the last 5 years when Arteta has been the manager of Arsenal.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, listen. I mean, clearly last night.
Oh well,
Tuesday night
you
was
sound like a
just
politician there.
It was
Oh,
fluke.
well.
Tuesday night was a fluke. Then.
No.
No,
Kudos.
it wasn't a fluke. You
I don't
played
want no one out there to think that I'm an Arsenal hater. It's
you
not.
didn't. No, you
It's just
played
that
well.
some people
Yeah.
just don't know to have respect for the teams that are
Yes.
that they are.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
you have to be told.
Yes.
No. I have respect, but you know. But,
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah,
No,
I
you
do.
don't.
But
You don't.
football waits for no man, and this is about the here and now. And where Man United are, honestly, and this is me being genuine, it saddens me. A great no.
It saddens me.
It saddens me. This institution of a football club languishing at the foot of the table.
It's,
And your manager will get attacked, by the way, Anthony. To be honest, the way he's going, he'll
Sorry?
get himself attacked.
Why
Big
not?
Andrew
He
Bates.
get sacked. All the Tottenham supporters want him out anyway.
Oh right. Well,
It's not about
He's gonna
that.
attack himself.
We know
and,
that.
and as for your lucky manager this season, Let's see what happens next season.
Lucky, you know.
You're talking about next season, like you won't have a bag of hamstrings next season as well because you haven't
Well,
you haven't
we'll see.
resolved that issue with
We'll
your
see.
training
We'll see when Trent
ratio.
goes. When Trent goes,
What's your backup plan for the hamstring?
I heard Van Dijk
next
back.
season?
Real Madrid are sniffing around Van Dijk. I heard.
I think you find out they're signing new contracts today. So
Yeah, they did.
from Sky News. So we'll be all right. And I'm sure we've got at least 200 mil to spend. So we'll get a number 9 as well to add to the to add to the team.
Right,
Probably
okay.
Isaac as well. Yeah.
No, you
Have
won't.
some of that then.
He won't. He knows one game.
One of my desires is that Arteta stays at Arsenal for as many years as possible.
Absolutely.
It's one of my desires. Yeah, I'm desperate for him to stay there.
Listen, if he wins the trophy with the big ears, he will.
Well, he's not going to win that, but again, I just hope that he stays there for many years to come. I really do.
Really?
Yeah.
What you think? You think he's not a good manager?
Who, us? Well, time will tell. He's very new. How long's yours been in charge?
Only 5 years.
Only. Was he one?
Community Shield, Emirates Cup, and the FA Cup.
Those three.
Half for FA Cup. Half for FA Cup.
Yeah,
You know,
half
he
the
came
FA
in.
Cup. That wasn't his
He
whole
didn't win
season.
That
How
was
do you, Anthony? How do you win half an FA Cup?
Because it wasn't his whole season. He took over.
Emery, Arsenal won it,
if
but
I
he
do a
wasn't.
Google search now, and
He wasn't a manager.
what would
He
it tell
wasn't
me?
the manager that did.
No.
did the hard work.
Can I just say something?
He wasn't the manager that did the hard work.
And you know me, it
Did
hurts.
the foundation
when I-
stuff.
No,
for the
I've
FA
got to
Cup.
say something, Winnie. It
Okay.
hurts me to say that. He can't win half the FA Cup because if that's the case, Di Matteo, when he won the Champions League with Chelsea, won half the Champions League.
How?
Right?
How?
So he wasn't there at the beginning.
Who was there at the
He wasn't
beginning?
there at the beginning.
I can't remember who was there, but he weren't in.
Well, I ain't got no receipts for that, but I can tell you that Unai Emery was there up until half of that season, taking that team through
Okay.
to the FA Cup.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
What if I say then- what if I say Arne
it
Slot
wasn't.
has won half-
Hold on. Go on.
Arne Slot, that's not his squad. That's not his team.
No.
So then, has he got one half a Premier League then?
Yeah, I'd say that. But Liverpool still won it.
Where do I go
Yeah.
from here?
Yeah. It is
I
hard.
think Nick, we should
He
call
didn't
it
build
a
that
day
team.
right now.
Yeah, now
He
he's
didn't
taking
build that
it
team.
at such a low depth now. I don't know where to go.
He
This
didn't
is turning nonsensical.
Exactly.
Liverpool still won it. That's all I care about.
Winning half cups.
Well, we ain't won it yet, so I
Yeah.
ain't saying that we have won it yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
I think
Well,
you virtually
are we good?
everybody can see. Yeah, we're good.
Should we leave it there?
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should really.
Good luck to Arsenal in
Back
the
it
in the next leg. Good luck to Arsenal. I wish them well.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I don't.
No,
Good
I
luck
do.
in your pursuit of new Old Trafford, because the other one is calling upon.
Say that again.
No, I know you're moving ground, are you not?
Yeah, in about five to 10 years, I think it is, mate.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Okay.
peace and love, beautiful people.
Peace
See
and
you
love.
later.